Hey everyone, welcome back to my channel. If you don't know me, my name is Leah, and today we're going to be talking about one thing that I get asked all the time. It's about strategies for sorting papers as a collage artist. When you find something amazing in your piles of paper and you're like, oh my gosh, I need to keep this, how do we sort them after we find it? When I first started collaging, I would literally cut out all the different pieces of paper, make my pieces, and then just throw out all the different clippings. But over time, I realized that this was extremely unproductive because I could find some really amazing things, cut them out, and I was just kind of dumping them. I don't know why I was doing that, but that's just how I started. Now that I'm a well-seasoned, I'll call it, collage artist, I definitely have a ton of different ways to save papers, and this saves me a ton of time when I'm creating. Everyone organizes their papers differently, but I have some great methods that I think I want to share with you guys, and we can just talk through other ways that I know other collage artists sort through their papers. As you all well know, sorting papers can be a very difficult challenge, and it is one of the most important parts of being a collage artist. You can have amazing pieces, but if you can't access them, you're not going to make the best pieces. I've worked through so many different ways of sorting, and I finally found a way that works for me, so I want to share it. The first thing to do to see if your collage organization is working is to pick if you have like one subject matter that comes out in a lot of your artworks. For me, this is people. I have so many people, so I've come up with a clever way for us to sort out just the people section, and I hope that this will help you in sorting out the thing that comes up the most for you. I was at the thrift store and came across this baseball card organizer, and I just knew it would be perfect for what I was trying to do. And it was only $3.99, which was perfect. So I brought it home, and this is how I'm going to be sorting out my people. I use people in every single one of my collages, so I decided to go through literally every single piece of paper that I had cut out in the last couple years and organize all the people into this book. I started placing them in and then realized that there needs to be a better strategy than just putting 100 people in a book. So I decided to divide them up into women, black and white women, and then move on to men's section and kind of do the same thing for each one, children, and then have romantic partners, and then just co-op or groups of people. There was so many, and some of these barely fit, but I was able to cut them out to make them fit, and I wanted as many on each page as possible so that it's easy for me to find what I'm looking for when I go back to this book. I've decided that obviously not everything's going to fit in these, so I've gotten full page ones that will work for that. I have some piles here, so I think that these illustrations are all going to go into one slip just because I really don't use them that often. And then I have these fashion, like sewing magazine ones that I think will take 1 or 2 pages, or at least have back to front, just because there's so many of them, and I do look for very specific poses when I do use them. Ones that are too big for this book, I think we'll just go back in here. And while I'm cutting all these out, I'm finding these really cool negative shapes too, so I might even make a collage out of all the extra pieces. Haven't used a 3-ring binder in a very long time, so this is kind of interesting to go back and use the super old school ones. So I'm gonna put this one right in the middle of the men's section. I don't have as many men. Most of my art are women, unless it's supposed to say something misogynistic for the most part. So I'm gonna slide these larger men in the section in the middle, and that way I have some range of sizes, but you can see these still aren't extremely large, but I like this a little bit better, and as I go I think I'm realizing more and more what I want this to be. Okay, so I guess I got through all the papers, which is super exciting. Not that this is everything that I have. I definitely have other bins of stuff. So before I fully start flipping, I just want to say that I still want to put little things down the side, so it would say like women, men, couples, children, co-ed, something like that, cars, body parts. We'll figure that out, but let's just flip through it quickly and you can look at everything that I did. And then I've left some spaces, obviously, and there's some in the back that I can add more pages as time goes on. So now it's been a couple months since I created this, and I just wanted to show you what's happened to it. So issue number one is that I just have a ton of loose papers right at the top, but I've been keeping them all in the right place. So if I want people photos, like this is where I go to find them. I have hundreds of photos of people in here, which is great. Even though it's still not the most organized, I definitely head to it every single time I'm looking for a specific pose and I'm looking through different magazines, and this is always the place I come and I'm always able to find what I'm looking for. And that's what success looks like when it comes to organization within collage. So would I recommend this way of sorting things? Yes, if you are organized enough to find like a person photo like this and put it in the right place. People can sort by colors, shapes, maybe the sizes, contrasts, scrap paper versus normal cutouts, the different layers or different topics or themes. I think this is the part that people usually have a good hand on, so you probably already know how you want to sort out your papers like that. It's definitely different for every person, so you can't just take what I do and it'll work for you. It's kind of a way of organizing your mind to think in that way. Then when it comes to that, how are you storing those pieces in that order? So for example, some people might store in different trays and be able to pull those out. So if it's by color, for example, they could put them all on the table and then be able to pull, or maybe they just want like blues and oranges, for example, and they just pull those two, plus maybe like blacks and whites, for example, to make some interesting contrasted pieces. There are so many ways to store, and as we know as collage artists, we are not the most popular art form where you can just walk into a store and buy a complete collage setup. I came up with a list of items that I think will really help you. I have an Amazon storefront, you can go see those. I put all my storage options there. I'll link it down below. People store in different ways, right? As I said, so it could be really thin boxes that sit on the counter, or for me, I like having it vertically stacked. I think because I have a graphic design background, my brain works a lot like Photoshop, so I see things in layers basically. So I want to have the largest ones on the bottom and the smallest pieces on top and kind of work my way up when I'm making a collage. Because my brain thinks like that, I wanted to find something that was actually vertically stacking. So I typed in like storage options for stacking. Eventually I came across a puzzle organizer, which is something you would never expect for collage. It was funny to see that puzzles are the exact size of the magazine, so these papers can perfectly fit in without getting crumpled up. This is my main paper storage section, and I highly recommend this. So the way that this works is that there's the largest pieces at the bottom, so these are full-sized magazine pieces, and then it gets smaller and smaller as it works up, and it's almost in the exact way that I would probably place the pieces together. These full-page spreads I'll usually use as backgrounds. Then the next one I have is patterns. So these are just like little pieces that I found that have some interesting patterns that could be backgrounds, for example. And they're just kind of like fun pieces that I wasn't really sure how to use yet. The next one is new foreground. This means anything that is brand new, basically. So anything from fashion magazines, or some of them are from National Geographic. So this one will be like animals, cars, appliances, etc. Just kind of like any pieces that look cool I've kept in here. New writing are new pieces of words, so anything from like fashion magazines basically. I literally never use this section, but sometimes for like fun cards I'll do that. And then the last one is just vintage writing, so any of the phrases that I've found go in here. I've seen people use filing cabinets, for example, on subject matter or by color and that sort of thing, and I think that's a great idea if you're able to work like that. When it comes to collaging, my mind really craves disorganization and finding links between things that make no sense. But if you work in a way where you're imagining certain things and looking for them, then the filing cabinet way would be a perfect option for you. As I mentioned, I love the chaos, so this is actually how I store all my junk journal things. It's just a whack of papers, and I like to whip it out and just organize them in weird ways and kind of make interesting connections and colors with the pieces that I'm able to find. This is just a scrapbooking bin from Michael's. It's about a 12 by 12, so it fits scrapbook papers, but for me it's perfect because I can just shove as much as I want in here and then create some like interesting pieces. When it comes to book storage, I'm pretty boring. I just like to organize them by the type of book. So all my Life magazines are together, all my Red Book, Better Homes and Garden, National Geographics, they're all in just like sections so that if I need something in that era or that type of vibe, I can just go to it. I haven't really seen other ways of sorting books, but if you have some options that you do for yourself, I would love to know in the comments so other people can benefit from that as well. The one difference between other collage artists and myself is that most of my pieces come from ripped up magazines. So I actually just have big boxes of papers that are in my desk, and every time I need some new pieces, I'll just go into that and sort them into my puzzle bin, and then that's kind of how I get my new pieces. If I'm lucky, they'll end up in piles of potential on the desk and I'll be able to create with them right away. Because I have so many papers, I make it my rule to kind of go through everything I have every 6 months, for example. So I'll go through my puzzle bin about every 6 months and make sure that some of the pieces that I'm no longer inspired by are gone and make room for ones that do. Those old ones usually end up back in the box, and then I'll recycle them over and over again or end up in my workshops where people use them themselves. There's something to be said about the disorganization of organization when it comes to collaging. I really do feel like it's one of those things that if you're too organized, you're just not going to make pieces that are as good unless you are making pieces that specifically need pieces, as I talked about before. Like if you need a giraffe and you need a coat hanger and you have those like sorted into bins, it's going to be really easy for you. But for me, I don't plan ahead like that. I usually find pieces that have similar colors and are interesting or make juxtapositions that I wouldn't expect in everyday society, and that's how I create. If you're feeling disorganized, I think it's okay because that's how we're supposed to feel. And as you well know from my videos, I always have some piles of potential on my desk where they're pieces that I want to cut out or have interesting ideas for a collage. I just leave them on my desk and hopefully I get to them. But I do make sure to go through that about every 2 weeks and get rid of the ones that I no longer think I can create with, or just create with them and then get rid of the rest of the pieces after that. And by get rid of, I mean sort them into my puzzle sorter, and then once that gets too full, again, I recycle through them, pull out the ones I no longer want, and then move on from that. My studio is quite petite right now. I'm making it work the best I can and I don't have a lot of space, but these are some of the things that I would do if I had a larger space. I think I would take the time to actually get a filing cabinet and make different sections for different things. So I think like for like specific pieces that are something that I might be looking for in the future, like a ladder, for example, if I have that cut out already, I think that things like that would actually be really, really helpful to have. If I had the space, I would also get like 2 more of the puzzle organizers. I think that they're great and I would love to be able to sort it a little bit further from where it is right now. Right now it's just by size, as I said, but I think that there's other ways that you could definitely be able to use this in your advantage. Like for example, like household items, for example, I would love to have that because I use a lot of like appliances and stuff. Or backgrounds. I just have like a thick stack of like backgrounds, but I think if I was able to do those a little bit more by like color or even like landscape versus like house or something like that, that would be really, really helpful in the future. Yeah, if I could like have a ledge behind my desk that had like a bunch of the puzzle organizers above it, and then on top of that have like more storage or like cute little things, I think that that would be really amazing. Another thing that I would do if I had the space was get like those trays. I love the idea of having like a bunch of trays on your table, but I just literally don't have the space for it right now. So I would be able to sort like almost like all my piles of potential into like bins, and that way it would be so easy to go through them. Right now I'm basically stacking a paper like vertical and then horizontal, and that's just kind of how I'm doing it. And my brain is able to work with it like that, but I would really like to be able to like lay them all out and see them all at once. I just, again, don't have the surface space. And if you're watching this, little bonus tip and you're designing your studio right now, get as much surface area as possible. The level of surface area that you need for collage is just infinite. I think the more space I had, the more things would be covered. That's just how it would progress. And this area that I have right now is really set up for just smaller collages. Like the perfect size for this area maximum is like 13 by 16. So I think if I was able to have a bigger space, I would also have bigger papers, and that's when you would want to get something like the Alex. I use the Alex for my shipping supplies right now and I love it, and I think it would be perfect for like larger papers and that sort of thing for sorting. And then the last obvious storage place is this bookshelf. So although it has stuff that is decorative, there's also things that are functional, like having these really close to me so I can grab any of these when I'm working. I love having that there. And then like pencil crayons, and then up here I have all my glue storage. I put my alternative cutting tools in here, and I have all my rollers and just a bunch of like cords and stuff. I really did hold off on doing this video for a long time thinking that I would find better methods, but I do think that it's not broken the way that I'm using it right now. I think that it's not the best, but I also don't know what the best is. I watch a lot of other collage artists in their spaces, and I never see anyone really truly happy with it, so maybe that's something that we have to innovate together. Everyone's brain works differently, and when you're sorting paper, you're basically taking a look inside someone's brain and how they organize things. And so everyone's are gonna look so different, but I hope that this helped you in finding storage solutions that will work for you. I was really hoping to have something more solidified and be like, this is the best method, but I just don't think that's the case. Paper clippings are so important to us, and we gotta be able to store them correctly, so I hope that you were able to walk away with something positive from this video. Remember to like this video, subscribe, check out my website, flanzella.com for my art prints, and I'll talk to you in the next video. Bye guys!